Dear viewers of IQRA TV and Real Talk, welcome to Real Talk again. We've been absent for the last 2 weeks, unfortunately, for all sorts of reasons and circumstances. I hope you've not missed us that greatly, but in between we've done some amazing programs, as you will have witnessed over the last few weeks in particular, and particularly last week with the appeals that Mufti Yusuf and others have been doing for our brothers and sisters and our young children in Syria, which I know that you have been supporting wholeheartedly. Obviously, Real Talk is bringing people in front of you to talk about some of the contemporary issues that confront our community in this country at this moment in time. And as such, we've tried to bring a diverse type of people here from across many, many different fields. And today I have a unique person with me, a young man called Naz from an organization called Consequence. And Naz has got a very interesting life to share with you, where he was, where he is, and what he wants to do in the future. Many families come across these tragedies that Naz went through as well, challenging times that people face. So let me just introduce to you my guest for tonight. His name is Naz. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh, Naz. Welcome to IQRA TV and Real Talk.
Thank you.
He's a young man, local, who has been in the past on the wrong side of the law, as a consequence of which he ended up in a custodial sentence, being in prison, where he was sentenced for 9 years. When he went into prison, he realized that what he had done was absolutely unacceptable, and that then led him to focus his life and review his position in life, and he changed himself completely. And that is why he's here today, to come and share with us and talk through some of the challenges that he faced and some of the consequences of what he was doing before. So Naz, welcome. I mean, you're a young man.
Thank you.
Obviously you've been to prison, so you must have done this when you were very, very young.
Yeah.
Got involved in criminal activity.
I did. I think it was around being kicked out of school and at the age of 18, 19, getting involved with
You're
the
a
crowd.
Bradford-born boy,
Yes,
young
I
man,
am.
are you?
Yes, I am indeed.
Right. So you went to school in Bradford?
Yes, I did, yes.
And that you got into the wrong company?
Yes. Well, it starts off with school, as everyone, as we talk to young people, you know, you have this mindset of school doesn't know better. I had issues, I was dyslexic, so obviously teachers couldn't give you that support as much as they could like to. And as a young person, you just rebel, and I rebelled basically against the school system. And then at that point, when you're kicked out of school and you've got nowhere to do, nothing to go or see, you end up actually trying to get involved with people that are on the streets, because that's the only thing that's left here now. No education, no career path, no grades, and now this is your path. You know, this is where you're going to
How did your family react to the way you were behaving, you know, when you were at school and rebelling? And I mean, it must have been a challenge for them as well.
For me, it was just me and my mum, you see. My father passed away when I was 5, so there's no brothers and no sisters.
Right.
So, you know, some could say I didn't have a role model of a male, but my mum was my role model.
Role model to look up to.
For me, it was more of I was getting involved with stupid things. I was fighting and arguing as you do and stuff and whatnot, and then bringing that home, and it just brought a bit of pain and sorrow on my mum. And it got to a point where when I got kicked out, you know, that was where it hit home, like, what are you going to do now? And I think, yeah, it's something that she could see that was increasingly going to get to a stage one day, but you know, it did, and it's not their fault. It's never the parents' fault. It's you as a child, or you as a person. You know, you are being given everything righteously. You know, and you've decided to go, well, I don't want it like that. I want it now. As every young person thinks, I want it fast. I want it quick, and I want it within the next 6 weeks rather than 6 years.
So was this a sort of criminal activity with the intention of getting as much money as quickly as possible?
And that's the precise thing. It was big cars, big bling. You know, money in my pocket, don't have to worry about it, and this whole mentality of, you know, I'm going to be somebody.
Right. So you ended up in front of the courts?
Yes, I did.
You were then sentenced?
Yes.
And you ended up with a prison sentence?
Yes.
So you went were you sentenced for how long?
Well, we got to Crown Court. I'd never been to Crown Court, never knew what it would look like. I've only heard stories. So I walked in and got into the box, and the judges turned around and said, you know, stand, and we're giving you 9 cents.
How old were you? How old were you then?
At the time, I turned 21.
21?
Yeah.
Right.
And the judge turned around and basically said, we sentence you to 9 years for the offence that you've done. I mean, at that moment in time, you know, I was like, yeah, this is a joke, it's going to be, haha, you know, you can go home now and don't mess about.
Did you see receiving a prison sentence as a badge of honour?
At that time, it was amongst the young people that, yeah, you know, he's been to prison, it's okay. For me, when I got there, I started thinking, this is my life. He's playing with my life, and not realising it was me who chose this path, but no one told me what this path will end up, where one day I'm stood in front of a judge and he now decides what my path and where I end up with the crime that I did. And having given a 9-year sentence, at that moment in time, something clicked.
So young people of your generation at that time, was this the mindset that, you know, we want to get involved in these activities, regardless of what the consequences are on themselves or their families? You know, they just wanted to have quick bucks, as they say, lead the fast life. And if you ended up in a criminal justice system and you got a prison sentence, was that seen as a badge of honour then?
I think, yeah, if you're going down that path of crime, you know, someone that's been in and out, you know, has that thing of, you know.
Don't they feel shame, you know?
After the first time, you know, if you go back in again, then the shame's gone, hasn't it? You've decided to thinking, this is the life that I've led, this is where it's going to happen, and they come back out, and the rotating door effect. You know, unfortunately, I'm really sorry to say, but no one in the community is willing to give him a chance. No one's giving him an opportunity. I was lucky. I was very lucky for the chances and the support that I got from the people, which we'll talk about. But some of these people are just left to their own accord.
I mean, okay, let's come back to that point. I mean, Consequences, the organisation you set up and help set up and you work with, is an organisation that helps people who've been in prison and you know, who've had a criminal record to rehabilitate themselves and come back into society as model citizens to do something useful and purposeful. We'll come to that because I think that is a very, very important and valuable role to play in our community, on all communities. But just coming back to you, I mean, obviously you went to prison, you came out, you changed your life, you know, you completely transformed yourself. You're a family man, I understand?
I am, yes. Married with two beautiful boys, yes.
Oh, subhanallah, mashallah, may Allah make them naked and pious and all that. In terms of when you did a criminal act, you went to court, your judge saw you, took one look at you possibly, looked at your crime and decided to give you, as you say, 9 years.
Yes.
So you then walked into prison.
Yes.
You know, and obviously that must have come as a bit of a shock. Did it come as a huge shock to you? Was that the wake-up call for you?
It was indeed, because remember this, when you're on the streets, you get told lies, and that's some of the prisoners that have been inside. What they say to you is, you go in there like a skinny bugger, and you come out as a massive bugger, and you're going, right, okay, that's all it is. Yeah, that's all it is.
You have to be careful with
Sorry, and most of these young people think, oh, well, that's all there is. No one tells you what happens when your identity is taken away from you and you are given a prison number. That's the first thing that happened to me. I come down the bottom, they took my name. This is right, this is the last time we're going to call you by your proper name. Now you are off onto a bus. Now this bus that was waiting outside is a free bus. This bus is down from the Queen. She can send you wherever she wants. Don't think that you're from Bradford, that you're going to stay in Bradford. You're not. I was from Bradford. I ended up going over in different prisons all over the UK, and the reality of it is, at that point when you walk into that prison, the officers tell you, the officers say to you, whatever you thought you was out there, no problem. In here, we've got over 100 of you, and they're all big and hard. That world that you live in out there has got CCTV and is protected. In here is a world within a world. And I was like, what do you mean? You never told me this. Ah, well, you should have known. And at that point, when everything starts getting stripped away from you, from your name, you get given a prison number, from your clothing that your mum and your family have washed, and the smell's still there, that gets taken off for you. You get given prison clothing which have been used by other prisoners, and now you are put into a cell, and you get given your picture, your fingerprints, and now you're ready to sit in a cell, which an officer's shown you for the rest of the sentence.
We have a call, so let's take this call. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. I believe we have a call. So the call's dropped. You may want to try again. I mean, this is fascinating, obviously, because like you say, some people see prison as an opportunity to escape, you know, their lives, whatever they may be leading. So for you, the wake-up call, when did the light switch come on? Because I mean, obviously, When you were sent to prison, how far were you sent from Brantford? The
Well,
first prison?
first prison from Leeds. From Leeds I went to Preston, Lancashire. From Preston, Lancashire to Dovegate.
I think we got the call back again. So, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuhu. Hello?
Off.
I think it's dropped again. It's dropped again. I'm sure you must be trying. Don't give up. We want to hear your views. As I say, I have a fascinating guest here, and I'm sure there'll be many people out there who will understand what Naz is talking about and may have gone through the experience with their children. So, I mean, if you were sent far away, how did your mum respond to that, and how was it? How did she find connecting with you or communicating with you? Because, you know, I mean, every family tells you that when the prisoners are sent far away, one of the most difficult things is access to the prison itself, and certainly for people who don't have their own transport, it becomes even more difficult. So how did she cope with losing you for 9 years?
You've got to understand, at that point it made me realise what I've lost. I lost my identity, I've lost my lifestyle, I've lost freedom, and then the main thing hit was I've lost my time with my mother. And at that point you've got to understand, I'm in Leeds. For an average family member, in the car, off they go. But for my mother, it was a bus, and then a train, and then another bus, and then the entrance, a taxi. And for me, it used to be thinking of, do I want to see my mother like this, coming to prison, visiting me? And, you know, my mother wears a headscarf and stuff, so having that being taken off of her and strip search and whatnot as they do.
Is that what they did?
Sometimes they've done that because of my crime. My crime was to do with drugs. So what they did was thinking that maybe...
You may still be using
you know,
drugs,
this, and my mother might be someone who might be bringing... It's just common sense with everyone. It's not only specifically drug dealers, but with anyone with that. But then having realised what they do, I then decided to have a personal talk with my mum and a visit, and said, Mum, you know, I think visits, you know, we can have 4 a month, but shall we stick to 1 a month and let it to be towards the end of the month? And she was like, why? And I was like, oh, because it's hard for you, you know. And then from that it became to a point of 1 every 2 months. Then it became like 3 every 3 months. And then at that point, I think the prison that I was in, Category B prison, realised that, do you know what, he doesn't get much visits, and if he does, it's only from his mother. I had so many friends that were outside, but when I was inside, there was nobody there.
So they abandoned you?
Only 2 that stood by us, you know, and it's like, wow, the rest of them, no one even decided to take my mum and pick her up and stuff, but it was okay for me to pick everyone else up when my time was right. And I think certain things like that started to hit home. And then one thing that got me was there was a lifer who lived next door to me, and there was a multi-millionaire who had been caught as well. And what the lifer had said to me and the other person said was, you know, you of all people, do you not understand, if something happens to any one of our family members, we've got brothers, sisters, uncles, yeah, we make a phone call and they're looked after. What happens to your mother? Who's she got to talk to? And at that point, it hit home. And the lifer had turned around and said to me, I'm in here for a long time, son, and I've had to live with phone calls and that door opening. And if that imam comes at night time to your door to open it, you know it's bad news. At that point in my life, it became a point where I put myself in Allah's hands and said, you know what, I've never been pure to you. I've never come to you with anything. I've read Friday prayers and yeah, I'm a Jummah, yeah, here we go. But I'm coming to you with my pure heart. What I want is, I want my mother to be right as the way I left her, and I want to be home before this 9-year prison sentence. And Allah works in mysterious ways. Absolutely.
So how's your mother now?
MashaAllah.
You
know, as soon as I come out, but this is another beautiful thing. Be careful what you ask for. When I came out, MashaAllah, mother was exactly as I left her, but within the matter of say 6 months, deterioration. You know, they call it the diabetes. She's had both knee replacements. So it was like as if time had stopped.
Allah give her good strength,
inshallah. And I think for me, it got to a point where I thought, I can't have my mum come into these prisons. This is not for her. I've made this mistake. She hasn't. Why?
She's having to pay the sentence for her as well.
See, for me, everyone says, oh, you know, what do you think? I says, well, for me, it was a university of life. I had to learn and live my life, and that's where I ended up. But the real pain was for my mother, you know, at home by herself and no one there. And I think that was where every night I know what I went through.
One of the unfortunate things is that young people don't think about their families and the effect it's going to have on the people that they leave outside, you know, especially parents. You know, the devastation. One of the issues about Izzat and Sharam and all that, which young people don't care about.
Which I didn't.
Which obviously you didn't care about either.
I didn't. And having heard what my mother had told me afterwards, it hurt because I thought I didn't see that side of it. And then you've got the side where, even to this day, you know, some of our outreach workers that are in prison, you know, unfortunately can't make their own parents' funeral because the prison system says no, we're not allowed. So, you know, you don't realise what you've got until it's taken away from you, or until you've gone from it.
Yeah. So you then obviously, you know, you decided to change completely.
Alhamdulillah.
So you decided that, you know, you realize that in carrying out the activities you were carrying out with your friends,
Yes.
you had lost a lot of valuable, positive things that you had in your life,
Right.
which you did not appreciate at that time.
You don't. Even your mum's home cooked food. My mother used to say to me, she said, "Putra, you know, one day there's going to be a time where you're going to cry for this." And I used to say, "Mum, why am I going to cry for it? You hear this, that," not realizing, you know, in Ramzan, 30 days every night you're crying, thinking, "I wish I could just have my mother's food on the table." And it makes you realize, you're thinking, you know, there's far better things in life than going out there destroying other people's lives and making money from it.
So your friends that you used to travel around with,
Yes.
you know, those who were part of your gang,
Yes.
how are they now? I mean, are they still involved in some of those activities?
3 of them are inside.
3 of them are inside.
Yeah, doing lengthy sentences. So we won't go into names, but they're doing lengthy sentences, over 16 years.
My goodness.
2 of them have changed their ways and gone into electrics and plumbing. And one of them, believe it or not, has fully turned his ways and gone towards deen, mashallah. You know, so for me, it's a variety of certain things I see, you know, unfortunately. But it all starts with yourself. When I came out, I could have easily joined somebody. I could have easily sat down. But you've got to understand, where I got to whilst I was in prison, I became the first ever serving prisoner to work for Prince's Trust within the UK. Alhamdulillah, I was given that opportunity and I was shocked that I got
Why did that happen? What did you do in prison?
Basically, they gave us the opportunity to go to a category C/D prison in Kirk Leamington, which is near Yarm, near Middlesbrough, Newcastle. Once in that prison, they gave me the opportunity to go outside and do a program, which was the 12-week.
So when you were first sentenced,
program.
Were you in a category B?
No, it was a category A stroke
You're
B,
in a category,
Army.
right. Well,
And then from
Army is normally the host.
And then from there they kick you out onto your thing. And then I stayed my time in a category B mainly.
Right.
And then from a category B I went straight to that prison.
I mean, category A for our viewers is the most serious
Yes.
offenders going to category A.
Yes.
These are usually murderers, people who've committed what you would consider heinous crimes.
Yes.
They usually go into category A, and then most people below that level of crime will go into category B, and those who reform themselves while on the way out of the system end up in category C, because then they're slowly rehabilitated into the community.
Yeah.
So obviously you then realized. So what did you do in prison to earn you the opportunity to become worker for the Prince's Trust?
They had the program, which was the team program, and in Stockton Riverside College. So we'd go out every day for 5 days a week to go on this program. The whole aim of the program was to give you self-confidence, self-belief, and the officer inside decided that, you know, she said to me, you'd spent a long time in a category B prison, you know, and your mentalities of you know, the system is still, I only talk to you when I need to, and vice versa, and we're trying to get you back into the community. This program's going to help. So I said, okay, fine, no problem. Went to that program, did the 12 weeks, and in that program, some of the young people from that area picked up that my accent's from not from around where they are, to a point where they said, where are you from? So I thought, I might as well tell them the truth. I said, I'm in prison. And I come from the prison every day, and they said, we don't believe you. So at that point, they went back to the prison with me.
So you're working outside the prison?
Yes, in the college. You're going out, and it's a program for 12 weeks.
Right, normal college.
The Prince's team program.
Right.
And I think at that point, the next day, everyone had turned back into class. And they were like, well, we're here to, can you tell us a bit more about prison and what happens inside? And when I started seeing that some of these young people were saying, you know, we've got hasb-e-haals, and comparing hasb-e-haals with each other, like as if it's a bravery award, and looking at me as someone, I'm somebody, and it's like, right, I'm going to tell you the truth and nothing but the truth.
They saw you as a role model,
in there, yeah, for some weird reason. So for me, I actually kind of asked them what they'd heard about prison, and then I shattered their dreams about what actually happens inside prison. And I think at that point, one of the staff members had realised that's quite connecting, you've kept them there. They then had the presentation, and they asked me to come back as a volunteer. Went back as a volunteer, the prison turned around and said, yes, go for it. And within a matter of a week to 2 weeks, I was given an opportunity to apply for a job, not realising that I'm going to get it. They said, just try it. So I tried.
So this is working for the prison service?
No, Prince's Trust.
For the Prince's Trust,
yes.
sorry, yes.
And I put the application form in, and when it had said grades, I had wrote none whatsoever.
Right.
Life experience, and that's what I wrote. And alhamdulillah, you know, Allah's willing, I got the opportunity, and they called me and said, you know, we want to see you, and in 12 days be ready, because you're about to go see Prince Charles at St James's Palace.
Right,
and you're going to be going with your governor from the prison. So I think at that point it was like, I've been given an opportunity, I better not mess this up. And I held on to that opportunity to the best I could.
And how did you find Prince Charles?
Oh, it was quite interesting. I had a joke with him saying, you know, your mother locked me up and you gave me the job, thank you. And he was like, well, if you are willing to work and if you're willing to go further with your life, this is what the Prince's Trust is about. And if there's any support that we can give you, you let us know, which I did. I then told him I want to set my own company up, which is called Consequence, and the Prince's Trust said, you know, we'll support you with a mentor, and we'll support you with some funding for a laptop and a projector screen.
They give you peppercorn funding, basically.
Everything that I needed, but the main thing for me was, yeah, it's only 500, but the reality of it was the mentor they helped me with, and he was a guy called Peter Tate, who's still with me, who was part of my board members, and he gave me the opportunity.
I know Peter Tate.
Yes, anyone who knows him in Bradford will know what he's about, and he kind of helped and structured with me.
So I mean, for young people out there who are looking to change their life in a way, you know, and not necessarily go into prison and then change their life, but young people who may be looking to change their life, look for a purpose in life, and they may have some ideas about developing themselves or the business. The Prince's Trust is a very, very good opportunity, a way in, a route in, to get engaged in that. Well, is there an age limit for the Prince's Trust?
It is. I think the eldest is 20, the business side of it is 25.
Right.
So I think the 25 is a cut-off. But if anyone wants any more information, just go onto the Prince's Trust website and they'll be able to tell you.
Okay. So you then obviously started giving talks to young people.
Yes.
Right. And were these young people in schools?
Most of these young people started from the schools getting in touch and us going in and delivering the session, and it was just started off with me, a laptop and a projector screen, going in and talking to a point where, you know, we'd go in and deliver the presentation to them and give them the reality checks of it. And then alhamdulillah, throughout the years...
So what do these young people think a prison's like? What do they have the same image about, you know, you go in there as a skinny
and that's what it is.
olive oil type of character and come back as a macho...
Who's been to prison, who has come on, it's true, you know, you've got nothing but time to rely on your body parts, and when they come out, they're looking all fresh. And when someone says, oh, so what was it like in there, not one person is ever going to tell them the truth. They're always going to say that we were somebody in there. I, on the other hand, will tell them the exact truth. I will show them marks on my bodies that I've been stabbed, attacked, fights, the reality of it, what happens with your family, your parents, what happens when someone dies. I'm giving them the whole 9 yards. I'm not just giving them the small bit of it. Why that is because some of these young people kind of find prison as a myth. You know, this happens and that happens. Is it true you can have a PlayStation? Is it true you can have a TV? Yeah, you can have all of that if you behave and get it. And when you do get it, what makes you think that you're going to be able to keep it? Because you've got 360 prisoners all wanting that. Do you think you can survive in there with that? And it's at that point we start giving them the reality check of, just by your trainers, you walking in there, within 24 hours, your trainers are going to go missing.
Right. So, I mean, we're going to be going to a break in a little while. I mean, obviously, all of that is fascinating in the sense that, you know, here you are, a young man who saw the crime as a way of paying you and making your life more luxurious, didn't concentrate at school, ended up in the situation you ended up in, and then, you know, you realized that you'd made a mistake, and the toll it was taking on your mother in particular was having a massive effect. We're going to come back and we're going to talk about the rehabilitation side of it. I hope you found that interesting. I hope you found it fascinating. It has certainly been fascinating for me. Inshallah, we'll come back soon. Please don't go away. Take care. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuhu.